To me, the beauty of the conservation cemetery is that people who choose to be buried there, they find a beautiful spot in nature. And so they will be part with nature again. We are all one. We really are all one. The trees, the birds, the insects, the animals, other people, we are all one, on one level. And so this is really, what drives me to help at the Prairie Creek Cemetery.
Green burial, natural burial, used to just be called burial. In our country, the Civil War sort of brought on what's now I call contemporary burial or modern day burial. But up until the Civil War time, virtually all burial in our country, all of our ancestors, they did natural burial. They just didn't have to define it as natural burial because it was the only burial there was, but they didn't generally use embalming. They didn't generally use vaults, and most of the containers, if they used containers, were just, made locally from wood. We do this because we see that it has great value for people, and we think that, like a lot of things, we're sort of pioneers, and pioneers that are actually being embraced by the public more and more and more as they find out about us. So it's a lot of work, but it's also incredibly fulfilling and rewarding.
It's very meaningful to be able to help people during something that can be so difficult too. Even if you don't know the people, being able to help and help dig the grave and help be there to help them through the burial process.
Most everyone that's interested in what we do is also find it incredibly valuable to have this natural landscape. So we, in order to help preserve that and protect it as a natural landscape, we provide with every burial a free brass hand stamp marker. So everyone gets the same thing. It's permanent. If anything happens to it, we replace it. But when you look out over the landscape, you don't see it. But if you walk up to a grave, you see it.
I have walked miles in that cemetery looking for what we call headstones, and the headstones are usually a really nice piece of petrified wood. And I'll drag it out, and the people will look at it and they'll approve it. We do all kinds of things to decorate it and make it so natural. But you stand in that field and you don't know the graves. If you don't point out the graves, you don't know the graves.
When family members find out that these volunteers from our community found it meaningful to help dig their loved one's grave, a lot of times they themselves they want to do that too. It might be a few months or a year after their loved one's buried. But we also have family that are often involved in grave digging with our volunteers.
So I have many older people that I'm looking after, and I know what it means, when you go towards the end of your life. I know about all the anxieties. Some people are comfortable when they approach death, but others are very anxious. Many people are very lonely, very helpless towards the end of life, and that really, really bothers me. So that's why I want to help them.
We do recognize that not everybody maybe wants this choice, and so we respect and honor the fact that people need to have choices. And we want to be one of those choices, and we would like for people to know about us.
It's for human beings to touch the earth without changing it. It is to be a part of it, to not remake it into what you want, but to preserve the beauty of what the natural world does on its own.